Hey guys, welcome to my first YouTube video. I posted on Instagram early this morning a few different looks with some ideas about like new videos that I could do, and this is the one that got the most responses. So I'm going to be doing kind of like my everyday fresh look with no liner, all affordable products. So yeah, we can just get into it. The first step is to moisturize the skin. I have pretty dry skin, so I like to use something a little more heavy. This is the Aveeno Naturals Positively Radiant Overnight Hydrating Facial, but I use it during the day. It's just a little bit thicker, but it really is provides a lot of moisture. So I'll just massage that in here. Next I'm going to go in with the NYX Honey Dew Me Up. This is almost gone, but it is a primer. It's a moisturizing primer that's going to really work with the lotion to help like act as a barrier and also give some radiance and some moisture to the skin. Next I'm going to go in with my favorite drugstore foundation, actually like one of the only foundations I use. I like the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte. I'm in shade 103 right now. It is, you'll see it's like quite a bit darker than me, but my body is a lot tanner than my face because I exfoliate. I always wear sunscreen on my face. And then but I do like to go usually like a shade or two darker than my natural skin, because for those of you that know me, which is probably everybody watching this video, I'm like really pale all the time, so I like to bronze up a little bit. And then especially with concealer and powder and stuff, it does even out, but it might be a little shocking at first. So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna be using the Real Techniques Complete Complexion Sponge or whatever. You can get 2 packs of these for like $9, and they're really good. I've had beauty blenders that are like $20 sponges in the past. These are like half the price, and I actually like it better. So I have like a couple breakouts right here, and this foundation is relatively, it's medium coverage. Right now with the amount I put on, that's medium coverage, and then if I'm wearing this out on like a Friday or Saturday, or I'm going for a little more full glam look. Sorry, I just held that in front of my face for that whole time. I will typically add either a second layer or add more coverage in the area that I need it. So I'm just blending that out. Yeah, you can see that it already has like really helped cancel out that redness here with just that first layer. With the sponges, I think it might be something that a lot of you know, but it's really important. I like using a sponge better than a brush because I think it's just easier to blend out and not get like brush strokes and stuff. I'll use the brush on my neck because it's just a little bit faster. And I'll go ahead and do that right now. So you can see it's pretty decent coverage. You can't really see the breakouts that I have going on back here. And just make sure if you're doing what I do with the darker color, that you're blending it back onto your ears as well, all the way back to your hairline, and just that everything is seamless. And then to combat this like oh so lovely foundation demarcation line, that's when we're gonna carry it down the neck. Now I'm going to go in and color correct using the NYX Dark Circle Concealer. It's in this little pot, and so this is like a little extra step. It's not super necessary, but I get pretty bad dark circles, so what this does, for those of you that don't know, because it's like this peachy color, I don't know if you can see it, it's like, because it's this peachy color, it's going to help cancel out the opposite of it on the color wheel, so like blues and purples, so it's gonna help to combat the darkness and give the concealer a little bit of like oomph to cover up and cancel out any dark circles. So it's just a little extra step. It doesn't take too much longer, and I'm just blending that out. This is a Sonia Kashuk brush. I think they were limited edition, but any small like dense brush, or you can use your finger too. I just have nails right now, so I can't really use my finger. But we're gonna go in with concealer. I really like the Maybelline Fit Me concealer. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this under my eyes, and also use this to highlight my face. So I'm going in an upside down triangle under my eyes and dragging that out farther than the Dark Circle Corrector, so you can see it covers a bit more of a larger area. Take it on the bridge of my nose to highlight, and then on the center of my forehead, right here on my chin, on my cupid bow, and then if these weren't covered by the foundation, I would conceal these too, but they're okay. And then sometimes I hit my smile lines right here. I have a little bit of a breakout right above my lip. I'm just gonna give that a little extra coverage. So yeah, those are all the places that you would want to conceal and highlight. This concealer is really good. It's really good for everyday wear. Because I do need a little bit of extra coverage, I'm gonna add this second concealer by Maybelline. It's the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind, just to add a little extra coverage. But because I don't want my concealer to get too lightened up, I just add a few extra dots here, just mostly under my eyes, and then like one in each area, just for a little extra oomph. So yeah, this is where I look the cutest or whatever. I'm sorry if I'm looking over here. I'm checking the viewfinder because it's like acting as my kind of like my second mirror right now. But yeah, so once this is all down, Jaclyn, who is a beauty YouTuber that I really like, has a trick of like letting your concealer dry just a little bit, so that you keep a little bit more of the coverage and it's not just blending away when you blend it out. So I usually like to fan my face for just a minute.
So I'll go ahead and blend this out. I'm gonna take that up my eyelid too, just to prime my eyelid since we are gonna be doing just a little bit of eyeshadow.
So now I'm gonna go ahead and set all of that and set my face. For that, I like to use the RCMA No Color Powder. Unfortunately, you do have to order this online, but it is pretty cheap. It's like $9 for this whole thing, and I've had this since like March. So it lasts a really long time. And it's a more lightweight powder, so I don't have a great recommendation, drugstore recommendation for if you have oily skin. But since my skin is a bit drier and I just get more oily kind of around my nose, I can make this one work. As far as high-end powders, I really like the Laura Mercier translucent powder. It's really good, especially if you have oily skin, because it is a little bit more heavy. So check that out. That's definitely a good one to invest in. And what I'm doing is just I'm setting my concealer and my foundation with the Beauty Blender, or with the sponge. Using a damp sponge instead of a brush really helps the powder to kind of sink into the skin, as opposed to just sitting on top of it like it would with a brush. So yeah, I'm just pressing that in, and then around areas that I get more oily, so around my nose, on my chin, and like right here on my cheeks, I just press in a little extra powder for some extra oil controlling coverage.
It's really important to set your makeup, if not only a concealer. I always like set my entire face, but it just helps to make your makeup last a lot longer. And it helps it, especially if you have problems with like oil control and stuff, setting with the powder is going to help keep prevent you from getting shiny throughout the day. So just make sure you're setting everywhere, including the eyelid, keep that from creasing, and then set your neck as well, just to help your foundation from getting on your shirts. Which like, I think every shirt that I own has a ring of foundation right here. But yeah, just carry that down, and then I usually use a brush for that, just because you don't need it to be looking like not powdery or whatever. So yeah, okay. From here,
next step is going to be bronzer. So my favorite drugstore bronzer, it's the NYC Smooth Skin Bronzing Face Powder. For those of you that live in Dinky or wherever, this, I don't think Target Express carries NYC anymore, but I mean Target and whatever, or you could buy it on Amazon. And this is once again the Smooth Skin Bronzing Face Powder in Sunny, and I really like this. I've got Monica turned on to this, and it's a really good face powder. It is a little bit warm toned, so you have to be careful to have a light hand, and just make sure that you're not going overboard where you're gonna look orange. So I'm using a fluffy dual fiber brush for this synthetic one, and I'm just gonna bronze in areas where I would contour and also where the sun naturally hits. So on my cheeks, forehead, along the sides of my nose, under my jawline, and then down my neck, just to kind of match up the color. So go in right here with a light hand. This is one of my favorite drugstore blushes. It's Milani Baked Blush in Luminoso. It is a little bit hard to find because this is pretty popular or whatever, but I found it at Walgreens by the Superblock, and so it's really pretty. As you can see, it has like this like kind of golden sheen to it. So it is a little bit shiny, but it doesn't come off like glittery on the skin, if that makes sense. It just adds a nice little sheen and like some radiance. It isn't one that I would necessarily recommend if you have oily skin, like going out in, if you're going to be sweating or anything like that, because it will add some shine to your skin. But for the daytime, or if you have drier skin, it is a good one to put. So I just use this round brush by Sonia Kashuk and just kind of pop that. I try to stay away from the center, like the apples of my cheeks, like right here. I try to go back farther so that instead of coming in where this is going to make my face look rounder, it's more like pulled up and back so that my face looks more elongated and like stretched back, I guess is a good way to explain it. So just make sure you're placing that back a little bit farther. Obviously every face shape is different, and so I can really only speak for mine, but a general rule is just try to keep it farther away from the center of your face and more back towards the sides. So yeah, it just adds a nice little flush of color. You can see there's some like radiance there, but to amp up the radiance here, we're going to be doing some highlighting. This is the Wet n Wild Fergie highlighter in Hollywood Boulevard. The Fergie part of this is discontinued, but Wet n Wild does still carry this highlighter. It's just not under the Fergie collection or whatever. So I'm not exactly sure of the name of this, but if you find it, it's just, nothing else looks like it. It's like one of these big pans. I got this sophomore year, and I'm like, it looks like I barely touched it, but it gives this a really pretty like golden highlight, which during the, yeah, you can see it's like really pretty. During the winter when I'm like really pale, I can't always wear this, or I have to mix it with one of my other like white highlighters. But for anyone with darker or medium skin, and this is a really good highlight, I just place that kind of everywhere that I would like to highlight, so at the top of my cheeks. So when I highlight, I like a pretty strong one. So I go right at the top of my cheeks here and kind of back and up towards the tail of my brow. So I do like almost like a little, I don't know, like half C shape or whatever. And then I'll repeat that same thing on this side. That's highlighting, and then we'll go back after we finish the eyes and do the brow bone and the inner corner. So at this point, just to help keep my face structure looking a little more like chiseled out, I like to bake just right under my bronzer. I do this usually even if I'm not contouring, just to give a little bit of structure. So what I'm doing is taking powder on my sponge, and I'm just placing it but not pressing it, so that it's just like gonna kind of like literally bake at the degree of your face and help keep that makeup lasting longer. And also helps to clean up any like fallout that you might have come down. This is actually a dry clean trick that we've like stolen from them, and Tina just walked in the room. Hey.
What are you doing?
Recording.
Does my makeup look good too?
I'm almost done.
Don't edit that out.
Keep it in there. Yeah, so that's what I do just to keep that kind of like structure in there. And so next I'm gonna move on to my brows. This is the only part that I don't have completely drugstore products for, but it's just because I don't have a color from the drugstore that like is good for my brows, but like obviously everyone's eyebrows are different. So the first product I have is actually a drugstore product, and it's the Ulta Brow Tint in Light. So I just like, when I'm running late or whatever, I just will run this through my eyebrows just for a little extra color and some definition. But if I do have a little bit of extra time, which I do, I'm gonna go ahead and define them a little bit further with like powder. But this is a good base when I'm late for class and stuff. I'll just do this. So as you can see, it just gives a little bit of definition, and we're just gonna go in and further chisel out my brows here. So my favorite brow color is in the Shade and Light Eye Palette by Kat Von D. It's this like kind of taupey shade right here. I do go a little bit darker than my hair color, obviously. If I did my hair color, I would look like I had no eyebrows. So I go a little bit like a light brown. Just and then what I do, I just follow like the natural shape of my brows. So I just define under here and just kind of extend the tail and then fill in. Eyebrows are one thing that like you just have to like trial and error figure out what looks good on your face because everyone's are so different. Everyone has different preferences. So yeah, I mean you can watch and see how I do mine and then adapt them for like your eyebrows and like what you like. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this quick. And when I get towards the front of my brow, especially on the bottom, I like go in with a lot less product just because you don't want like that block eyebrow, or at least I don't. I definitely have had that before. Shout out to sophomore year me. Thanks for doing that, and thanks to Tina for not telling me that it looked terrible. But yeah, it just helps keep it a lot more natural. And then, so I keep the tail dark and then go lighter towards the front. So you can see how I'm doing that here.
And then I'll go through periodically and just brush through my eyebrows to disperse that color a little bit more and find any more bald spots that need to be filled in.
And then at the front of the brow, I like flick up like this and then do vertical strokes as well.
So I just kind of keeps it looking a little bit more natural and then come through.
Alright, so now that this eyebrow is on, I'm gonna go ahead and clean them up with some concealer. This is something that really helps to make the brows just kind of stand out and keep them in place. And this brush that I have is so small. It's like literally broken in half, so I can never find it. I'm just gonna go ahead and clean up the unders of my brows. So I just go under here and start just to help define them and make them a little bit more precise. So next we move on to eyeshadow. That's just going to be a really quick, easy look. I'm going to be taking the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe palette, and I'm just going to be taking these like two shades right here. They're like kind of like peachy, orangey shades, and just throwing that in the crease of my eye for a transition. So because I have hooded eyes, I go right in straight here where my eyes naturally crease and just keep my eye open and above, so that you can still see it while my eye is open, and just add a little bit of definition there and a little bit of color. So just really light there, and then I'm gonna go in with this second shade here, this shimmery one, and just pop that on the lid. I'm just gonna use my finger to keep some of the extra pigment in there. So my memory card keeps filling up, but I just popped the shimmer on the lid there, and what I'm gonna do now is just press in this powder to kind of keep it cleaned up down there. I'm gonna go ahead and add that same highlight just to my inner corners here and under my brow that I did on my face, the Fergie one, and do my mascara, and I'll be right back. Is that the umbrella one?
Yes. Can you walk on my Instagram?
Alright, so now that it's fine. Now that mascara is done, I'm just adding Maybelline lipstick in the shade Beige Babe, and this is the completed look. My final timer was 40 minutes, 13 seconds between talking to you guys, talking to Tina, having to delete stuff. So like I was saying earlier, before my card was full and I had to leave to go meet Ellen, the timer was about 40 minutes, but because I was talking to you guys and I was talking to Tina and I was having to like delete photos and stuff, it would have taken me like maybe 25 minutes-ish. I could definitely have sped it up as well, but I wanted to like show you what I was doing and explain and stuff. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you want to see. Text me or comment on my Instagram or whatever. Bye!